The story begins with our protagonist waking up. He is immediately confused when he opens his eyes. Instead of meeting his boss at work, he finds himself face to face with a group of people he does not recognize. Alarmed, he demands to know what is happening and where he is. However, the man dressed in white is already furious. If not for the intervention of his host father, our boy's head might have already been split in two. Still confused, our protagonist is ordered by his father, the patriarch of the Lin family, to kneel. It turns out he had offended the Shu patriarch, the very man who nearly sliced his head off. Even then, our boy still cannot understand what is happening and insists that they have the wrong person. But when the name Lin Bei is mentioned, the host's memories begin to surface. In that moment, he realizes the truth. He has died and been reborn in the body of the trash villain from his favorite novel. From those memories, he recalls that this so-called trash character had dared to mess with the main protagonist's woman, even going as far as sleeping with her. After piecing everything together, his sudden change in expression infuriates the girl's father. Enraged, the man moves to kill him, but fortunately, he is stopped midway. At that moment, our boy realizes just how screwed he is. As he processes the situation, he remembers that Lin Bei was never meant to be a real villain. He was simply designed as a stepping stone for the main protagonist. Faced with this grim reality, he wonders what he can possibly do to survive. Just then, the godly system activates, having detected that he is in a life-threatening situation. Finding the timing perfect, he immediately uses the system's newbie gift package. Upon opening it, the system rewards him with 200 million spirit stones to resolve the situation. In addition, upon completion, he will receive 5 volumes of the Heavenly Sword technique and a recording stone to prove his innocence. However, if he fails, he will die by the hand of the Shu patriarch. The notification leaves him completely shocked. Meanwhile, his father is desperately trying to calm the enraged man down. Seeing this, our boy finally acknowledges his mistake and decides to salvage the situation. The Shu patriarch's face is filled with visible anger as he demands to know how our boy plans to make things right. In response, our protagonist calmly takes out a storage item from the system inventory. While explaining his intentions, he offers to compensate the man with spiritual stones. This only causes the patriarch to fly into a rage. Unfazed, our boy raises the offer, proposing 1 million spirit stones. That amount alone is equivalent to the Shu family's annual revenue. However, instead of calming down, the patriarch grows even more furious. He questions whether money is being used as an excuse after his daughter was defiled. Seeing this, our boy raises the price again. 5 million spirit stones. Hearing this figure, the patriarch is momentarily stunned. But after regaining his composure, he speaks of the Shu family's teachings, declaring that no matter the price, he will definitely kill our protagonist. As he begins executing the Shu family sword technique, our cunning protagonist raises the offer once more. This time, he offers 100 million spirit stones. The patriarch freezes. Such an amount is something he never could have imagined. He stares at the number in disbelief, unable to accept that anyone would willingly pay so much. Even our boy's father begins to wonder whether his son is secretly a billionaire without him knowing. His expression mirrors the shock of everyone present. Seizing the moment, our protagonist strikes while the iron is hot. He brings up the Shu family code, stating that since the patriarch is a righteous man, he would surely refuse compensation and take back the spirit stones. No one expects him to use the man's own words against him. Now, the patriarch finds himself in a difficult position. Accepting the offer would cost him face, but 100 million spirit stones is still 100 million spirit stones. In the end, he compromises. To preserve some dignity, he claims that he is only letting our boy off because of the long-standing relationship between their families, insisting that it has nothing to do with the money. However, his actions tell a different story. Before leaving, he demands that our boy personally apologize to his daughter for his actions. After saying this, the patriarch walks away, later quietly apologizing to his daughter for what happened. With that, our protagonist successfully completes the task and receives his rewards from the system. However, before he can relax, the system issues another mission. Upon checking, he learns that he must flush out the traitor within the family, or risk total annihilation at the hands of the main protagonist. After Shu patriarch left, Lin Bei's father approached and asked if his son still had some spirit stones left. Meanwhile, the grand elder of the family gritted his teeth in annoyance at Shu patriarch's actions. Out of frustration, he snapped and accused our boy of causing trouble for the Lin family. His father immediately defended him and asked the elder to explain what he meant. In response, The old man wondered aloud where the boy had obtained the spirit stones, suspecting that he might have stolen them from powerful people, an act that could bring calamity upon their entire clan. Our boy calmly asked him to name the so-called powerful people he could have possibly stolen from. The old man then explained that this wasn't the main issue. The real problem was that the boy possessed spirit stones far beyond what their family could afford or account for. Lin Bei replied calmly, saying that the elder was quite interesting, and asked what would happen if the spirit stones were simply given to him. This response only annoyed the elder further, as he found such a possibility impossible. Lin Bei then asked the elder what he truly meant, if someone who lacked strength could really steal a large amount of spirit stones from powerful warriors so easily. Hearing this, the old man was left speechless. Lin Bei's father chimed in, confirming that it would indeed be impossible for his son to steal such a large amount of spirit stones without being caught. At this, the old man told Lin Bei's father that he was only worried about the family, which was why he acted the way he did. At that moment, Lin Bei suddenly asked a question that made the old man break out in a cold sweat. He asked why the elder had framed him if he was truly concerned about the family. Pulling out a recording stone, our boy prepared to expose the elder, silently praying that the system wouldn't let him down. The recording began, showing a scene of our protagonist and the old man talking about Miaoji, the Shu patriarch's daughter. The old man offered him a special package, claiming he had done his research and that the girl would love it. Our boy accepted it and thanked him. Now holding the package in his hand, Lin Bei explained that he later discovered it contained substances with hallucinatory effects that could cause people to lose their minds. Seeing this, the guilty old man attempted to quietly slip away. However, our boy's father stopped him and asked where he thought he was going. Before the old man could respond, Lin Bei's father beat him senseless, using the moment to vent his frustration, and ordered that the old man be locked up. Because of this, our boy completed the system's quest. The system then informed him that there were no further quests at the moment and that he was free to roam. Meanwhile, the old man, now tied up on the ground, demanded an explanation. He asked why our protagonist hadn't revealed the evidence earlier if he already knew he was being framed. In response, Lin Bei gave a vague explanation, one that sounded like complete nonsense to the old man. The elder concluded that our boy had deliberately kept the evidence in reserve, planning to use it later to win the family's favor. Now that the traitorous elder is dealt with, the others demand a proper explanation about the spirit stones. One of them even hopes he didn't just hand the Shu family a means to dominate the entire region. In response, Lin Bei reveals the remaining spirit stones, saying he isn't stupid enough to hand everything over to the Shu family. Seeing this, his father is impressed, and the elders are convinced that he must have a powerful figure backing him as a sponsor. However, when they ask for the identity of this mysterious figure, Lin Bei says he can't reveal it. One elder believes this only proves the boy is telling the truth. After all, such powerful people dislike being exposed. To him, this is truly a golden opportunity for the Lin family. You see, our protagonist is part of a branch family with very little influence. Perhaps that's why the Shu patriarch dared to act the way he did. However, our boy knows that while he has money, his family lacks unity, and that needs to change. With this in mind, he addresses everyone, saying he plans to obtain spirit stones for the family under one condition. From now on, he wants the family to be united under a single voice. He asks whether they support this idea or not. His statement causes everyone to stare at his father. His father can't believe his son is openly asking to become the patriarch of the family. Meanwhile, our protagonist hasn't yet realized that everyone has completely misunderstood his words. An elder speaks up, saying that handling family matters is serious business. Another adds that not everything can be solved with spirit stones. Hearing this, Lin Bei asks what exactly they're talking about. Indeed, money can't solve every problem, unless you simply don't have enough of it. The elders are left stunned when our boy adds that he intends to give them the remaining 100 million spirit stones. One elder immediately rushes forward to thank him, claiming he never once doubted his potential. The old men begin celebrating, and before Lin Bei can react, they start calling him the Lin family patriarch. At this point, our protagonist realizes something is very wrong. He hurriedly explains that he doesn't want to be the patriarch and doesn't want to bear such a massive responsibility. The elders exchange knowing looks, thinking they figured it out. On the surface, his father will remain the patriarch, but Lin Bei will be the one secretly in charge. Hearing this, Lin Bei's dad feels like the family is completely finished. Meanwhile, our boy is utterly shocked by this sudden turn of events. Later that night, Lin Bei sits alone in his room, reflecting on how he somehow became the patriarch, all while complaining about the elders completely misunderstanding him. For now, he has no choice but to reluctantly accept the position. In the meantime, he decides to explore the mysterious system. The system begins listing its functions: automated cultivation, destiny gacha, and finally foresight. It then publishes missions that grant system points and rewards, which can be used to access more system resources. Our protagonist thinks that with this, he has truly hit the jackpot. Without wasting a moment, he activates automated cultivation. He lazily lies down and lets the system do all the work, cultivating and strengthening him while he rests. However, somewhere within the Shu family residence, someone is furious. The Shu patriarch's son demands to know why his father let our protagonist go. He is the second son of the Shu family, Shu Qingshan, and he declares that once our protagonist comes to apologize, he will definitely kill him. His father holds up the storage device and explains that Lin Bei has already compensated for the damage. Killing him now would only trigger a war between the two families. At that moment, the Shu patriarch's daughter walks in and asks her father if he was planning to sell her. The man tries to explain, but his daughter simply thanks her younger brother for speaking up for her. She states that family matters take priority over personal feelings. However, she cannot agree to letting our protagonist off. She swears to kill him and cut him into pieces. And if her father dares to interfere with her revenge, she would rather kill herself than let our protagonist live. Faced with this emotional ultimatum, the Shu patriarch stops her and admits that she is right. He decides to return the spirit stones. Apparently, she had just put on an innocent, cute daughter act. And like any normal father, he completely fell for it. Now, he begins preparing for war and plans to take our protagonist hostage the moment he enters the Shu family mansion. On the other side, our protagonist is in the middle of auto-cultivation when the system suddenly flashes a warning notification. It states that due to the actions of the Shu patriarch's daughter, Shu Miaoji, the Shu patriarch is now plotting war against his family. Because of this, the system retracts some rewards, including auto-cultivation, and in the process, triggers a new mission. Our boy is instructed to befriend Shu Miaoji. Reward for completing the mission was 500 points. Failure results to death. The very next day, at the Shu family estate, Shu Miaoji eagerly waits to end our protagonist. Her father, on the other hand, tries to reassure her while urging her to calm down. However, the girl completely ignores him, declaring that she will strike first. Just then, a servant enters and reports that our protagonist has arrived. Lin Bei steps into the mansion, already aware of the Shu family's plot. So when Shu Qingshan charges forward to kill him, Lin Bei dodges without surprise using one of the system interfaces. Our protagonist even calls him brother-in-law, insisting that he calm down. However, this only enrages Shu Miaoji further. She launches an attack, telling Lin Bei to go to hell. Lin Bei successfully dodges the strike and turns to the Shu patriarch, demanding an explanation. In response, the man angrily tosses the storage device at him, declaring that he is a father and would never sell his daughter's dignity. Seeing the intense killing intent, our boy resorts to using the system. He begins moving so fast that neither sibling can keep track of his movements. This leaves the Shu patriarch completely shocked by such exquisite and agile footwork. Lin Bei then stops and asks why they want to kill him when he clearly came to apologize, without even giving him a chance to explain himself. Shu Miaoji sneers and says that if he has anything to say, it will be his last words. In response, our boy pulls out a recording device and insists that she watch it before deciding whether to kill him or not. The recording replays his conversation with the elder. Everyone in the hall witnesses it, leaving the Shu patriarch stunned. Our protagonist explains that he was framed and asks who would truly benefit if the Shu and Lin families went to war. Shu Miaoji suggests that it would likely be the Yu family, the family of the novel's protagonist. However, her brother expresses confusion. Lin Bei then explains that they interrogated the elder, who revealed evidence of the Yu family's involvement. Still, Shu Miaoji expresses doubt, insisting that Yu Fan, the novel protagonist, would never harm her. In response, Lin Bei tells her that Yu Fan cannot represent his entire family's intentions. When he asks whether Yu Fan has visited her since the incident, she falls silent. After a moment, She explains that the rumors are already public knowledge, and Yu Fan probably didn't visit because he didn't want to complicate things for her. She then adds that the incident was Lin Bei's fault. Hearing this, our protagonist is shocked. Even if the girl is somewhat foolish, his main priority remains befriending her. With that thought, he takes out the Heavenly Sword Manual and offers it as a reconciliation gift. Shu Miaoji reacts in shock after realizing it is a heavenly rank sword technique. Su Qingshan immediately snaps, accusing Lin Bei of joking around, first bribing their father and now attempting to do the same with his sister. Enraged, he lunges forward, shouting for Lin Bei to go to hell. But in the next moment, his sister slaps him, sending him flying across the room. Su Yumeaoji excitedly asks if he is really giving her the sword technique. Our protagonist tells her there is no problem, but inwardly wonders why she is acting as if she just hit the jackpot. Holding the manual, she explains that heavenly techniques are treasures only encountered by powerful sects and noble families. With this in her hands, she says she could die without regret. However, she finds it puzzling why our protagonist would hand over something so precious as casually as if he were giving out candy. This makes her question whether our protagonist is truly the trash people rumored him to be. At this moment, Shu Miaoji's brother snaps, demanding to know why she would accept a gift from a bastard like him. In response, our protagonist asks her whether she likes his sincere apology gift. She remains silent at first, and before she can speak, a hand lands on her shoulder. The Shu patriarch suggests that the two of them talk privately for a moment. However, her brother seizes this chance to attack our protagonist, only to be smacked on the head by his father and stopped by a sharp glare from his sister. They then begin discussing the heavenly rank technique. Shu Miaoji reveals that she has already checked the contents and confirms that it is indeed a profound heavenly ranked technique. Her father tells her that after careful consideration, there is an 80% chance the Yu family is involved in the scheme. In response, his daughter says that uncovering who is trying to harm her is far more important than dealing with our protagonist. Although Lin Bei appears simple on the surface, the Shu patriarch fears that if a real fight breaks out, their own family would be the one to suffer. Understanding the situation, his daughter decides to take full responsibility. Turning to our protagonist, she tells him that she forgives him and will spare his life. However, she adds that she never wants to see him again. Our protagonist is shocked, realizing that she still holds a grudge against him. If things end like this, there is no way he can complete his mission. So he resorts to drastic measures. Lowering his head, he explains that he never intended for her forgiveness. Then, he firmly tells her to slash him with her sword. The entire family reacts in shock. Angrily, she demands to know what he is planning. Our boy replies that although he may have been ignorant of his duties, he is not someone who would avoid responsibility for the consequences. He further states that no amount of spirit stones or heavenly techniques could ever compensate her for what he did. The Shu patriarch is stunned, especially when Lin Bei casually mentions a sum as massive as 100 million as nothing. What Lin Bei wants is simple. If she wants to kill him, he will not resist, but inwardly, he is desperately praying that she won't actually do it. Shu Miaozi hesitates. At that moment, her brother shouts, demanding to know whether his sister has suddenly grown soft-hearted. If that is the case, he declares that he will kill our protagonist in her place. Shu Miaoji immediately blocks her brother's attack. He questions her angrily, asking what she thinks she is doing. In response, she turns to our protagonist and tells her brother not to interfere in their business. Then she drives her blade into Lin Bei's chest. However, the strike is not deep enough to cause serious damage. She even offers him a pill, saying it will stop the bleeding. Seeing his confusion, she shoves it directly into his mouth. With that, she declares that the matter between them is settled. Originally, she had intended to kill him. She doesn't understand why she changed her mind at the last moment. The Shu patriarch then announces that the issue has been resolved and that Lin Bei may return home. But Lin Bei knows he still can't leave. His mission is not yet complete. He begins wondering what women in this world truly desire. Then an idea strikes him. Having read the novel, he knows exactly what she wants most. With that in mind, he tells Shu Miaoji that he hopes they can start over as friends. He then offers her another cultivation technique, the sword Dao. She reacts in shock. The main protagonist, Yu Fan, has only ever gifted her jewelry, never a cultivation technique, causing her to ask if Lin Bei is truly serious. Lin Bei asks why she is hesitant to accept it, explaining that the sword Dao does not discriminate. All living beings are equal. Our protagonist has unknowingly introduced the concept of gender equality into this world. Because of this, Xu Miaoji begins reflecting. She recalls how Yu Fan always told her to remain a proper lady, one who would eventually raise children. Even her own father once warned her that she might never get married if she continued pursuing intense cultivation. She admits that this is the first time she has ever heard someone speak like this. Smiling, she thanks Lin Bei, saying he is completely different from other men. And thus, the foundation of a strong relationship is formed. The system confirms that Xu Miaoji has accepted Lin Bei as a friend. The system informs him that the mission is complete, his rewards have been granted, and his auto-cultivation has been restored. Our protagonist is inwardly thrilled, however his joy doesn't last long. With this development, he has now become the enemy of the novel's main protagonist. And as if on cue, Yu Fan arrives at the Xu family estate, ready to teach him a lesson. As for Xu Miaoji, with her innocence gone, Yu Fan now believes she is better suited to be a concubine rather than a wife. Just then, the door opens from inside, and our protagonist steps out together with Xu Miaoji. Yu Fan immediately spots them and notices the two discussing sword techniques. Our boy even speaks about looking forward to her guidance in the future. Yu Fan grits his teeth in fury, silently cursing Xu Miaoji for meeting the protagonist in private. Showing his true colors, he reveals that he originally came to the Xu residence to offer medicine to treat Xu Miaoji's cold body constitution. But after seeing her with Lin Bei, his intentions change. He decides that he will propose to her, and during their wedding night he plans to make her taste hell. As for our protagonist, Yu Fan swears he will deal with him once he breaks through to the next stage of cultivation. Back in his room, Lin Bei complains to the system about how recklessly it assigns missions. The system calmly explains that it only assigns tasks based on future crises. After all, its primary function is to protect him. Our protagonist doesn't argue. Without the system, he would have already died the moment he was reborn as Lin Bei. To grow stronger and reach the level of the main protagonist, he decides to use the system gacha. He performs a 10 pull using his accumulated points. 1,000 points are consumed as Lin Bei silently prays to the gacha gods. Unfortunately, luck is not on his side. He receives over 300 million spirit stones and several pills that initially seem useless. The system suggests doing single pulls instead, but Lin Bei rejects the idea, convinced it's impossible to get anything good that way. However, temptation soon takes over. After sorting through everything, excluding the spirit stones, only 4 items remain. Holding the bottles, the system explains that one pill helps with comprehending the sword Dao and greatly enhances sword understanding, while another directly boosts cultivation. Lin Bei instantly realizes how valuable these pills are. From the host's memories, cultivation is divided into several realms, starting from Profound Novice and going all the way to Profound God. Each realm has 9 stages. The original Lin Bei had been stuck at the 3rd stage of the Profound Novice realm. With this in mind, our boy gulps down the sword Dao pill. The moment it enters his body, his entire form trembles violently. A bright red aura erupts from him as his strength surges, and his mind becomes crystal clear regarding sword usage. Lin Bei immediately calls for a sword and begins practicing. Sword slashes filled with aura fly out one after another. A single strike causes a massive explosion. As a result, Lin Bei successfully comprehends the pure sword Dao and breaks through to the next realm, becoming a profound practitioner. But the very next moment, his father's furious shout echoes through the courtyard, demanding that he return the sword he borrowed from an elder. Ignoring that for now, Lin Bei turns to the system and demands an explanation about the blue cube he obtained earlier. The system explains that it is used to treat cold body constitutions, especially someone with Xu Miaozi's condition. However, since Lin Bei knows nothing about this yet, he assumes the cube would fetch a high price on the market. He conveniently forgets that he is already incredibly rich. As for the final gacha reward, the Nirvana Sutra, learning this technique would grant him a chance to be reborn if he ever dies. Excited, Lin Bei almost draws again but quickly restrains himself. He remembers another function of the system and asks about it. The system reminds him of the Foresight interface. Seeing this as a golden opportunity to gather future intel, Lin Bei activates it. Through the visions, he sees Xu Miaoji suffering greatly from her innate cold body constitution. According to the main storyline, Yu Fan will offer medicine to suppress the condition. After proposing marriage, Yu Fan will then use this leverage to destroy his family. The proposal is scheduled for the very next day. Realizing this, Lin Bei asks the system whether the Ice Cube Ice Jade Marrow can cure Xu Miaozi's condition. Once this is confirmed, Lin Bei knows exactly what to do. He will completely destroy the main protagonist's chance. The following day, Lin Bei heads straight to the Shu residence. He finds Xu Miaozi practicing sword techniques. He is shocked by her progress in just one day, noting that her recent thrust already carries sword intent. Xu Miaozi smiles and explains that it's all thanks to him. Without the heavenly rank sword technique he gave her, she could never have reached this level. Meanwhile, Lin Bei is inwardly stunned. He himself never truly understood the heavenly sword technique. It was only after consuming the sword Dao pill that he achieved enlightenment. He can't help but think this is exactly what's expected of a main protagonist's woman. With that thought, he casually asks about Yu Fan. Xu Miaozi reacts in shock, wondering why Lin Bei is suddenly interested in him. On the surface, Lin Bei says he only wants to know how Yu Fan views him, but inwardly, he knows the fastest way to destroy a relationship is to make one side see the truth about the other. After thinking for a moment, Xu Miaozi explains that from what she knows, the two of them were never that close. Midway through her explanation, she suddenly realizes something shocking. Although she can't sense Lin Bei's cultivation realm, she feels an overwhelming sword aura radiating from him. Staring at him in disbelief, she demands to know, when did he fully comprehend the sword Dao and awaken a pure sword heart? Yu Fan is known as a genius, yet even he struggles to comprehend sword intent. In contrast, although Lin Bei's cultivation realm is lower than Yu Fan's, when it comes to the sword Dao, Yu Fan cannot even compare. Lin Bei, however, believes there must be some misunderstanding between himself and Yu Fan. Xu Miaozi thinks that is all in the past. With Lin Bei's comprehension of the sword Dao, she is confident that he and Yu Fan will eventually get along. But our protagonist thinks otherwise. From the host's memories, Lin Bei knows that Yu Fan is not a good person. Xu Miaozi simply hasn't realized it yet. Still, Lin Bei has another matter to discuss. It concerns the night the two of them spent together. Xu Miaozi immediately blushes, reminding him that it was all in the past. Regardless, Lin Bei explains that the hallucinogenic drug used that night may have contained poison. Just in case, he presents her with some medicine. In truth, there is no such poison. He is simply trying to leave a better impression, and it works. Xu Miaozi begins to see him as a proper gentleman. She suggests they begin the treatment process in the training room. Meanwhile, her father watches from afar, commenting that young people really are full of energy. Just then, a servant rushes in with urgent news, but Yu Fan pushes him aside and heads straight for the training room. As he kicks the door open, the Shu patriarch stops him, stating that his daughter is undergoing treatment and should not be disturbed. Yu Fan scoffs, asking what kind of treatment requires a man and a woman to be alone together. To make matters worse, both men hear Xu Miaozi moan inside, saying that her strength is increasing. Yu Fan looks like he is about to explode. Inside the training room, Lin Bei is using his sword intent to suppress Xu Miaozi's cold constitution. He attempts to seal it, but her cold energy is far too powerful. It begins spreading uncontrollably, freezing the entire room. Seeing this, the Shu patriarch begs Lin Bei to protect his daughter. Yu Fan, however, insists they break in immediately. When the door is forced open, the Shu patriarch rushes to check on Xu Miaozi. At the same time, Yu Fan snaps at Lin Bei, accusing him of daring to touch Xu Miaozi again. He moves in to kill him. Our boy blocks the strike. Xu Miaozi tries to stop Yu Fan, but Yu Fan shatters Lin Bei's sword. Seeing this, Lin Bei suggests they stop, saying he doesn't want to hurt him. Yu Fan ignores him and shouts for him to die, launching a killing blow. If Xu Miaozi hadn't stepped in, Lin Bei might have already ended the fight using the system. She demands that Yu Fan apologize to Lin Bei. Yu Fan mocks her, asking if the cold has frozen her brain, insisting that Lin Bei was clearly taking advantage of her. Xu Miaozi firmly states that Lin Bei was only trying to suppress her illness. Yu Fan dismisses it as a poor excuse. Lin Bei didn't expect Yu Fan to reveal his true nature so easily. When Yu Fan brings up the incident between Xu Miaozi and Lin Bei, she turns the tables. Since he mentioned it, she asks whether he knows anything about the collusion between the Lin family elder and the Yu family. He knew about his family's involvement, he just didn't expect her to be dragged into it. Seeing this, Xu Miaozi is deeply disappointed. She tells him that from this moment on, he is no longer allowed to call her his woman, and that their relationship is over. This only enrages Yu Fan. He accuses her of deliberately protecting Lin Bei. Lin Bei shakes his head at Yu Fan's reaction and calmly points out that Yu Fan was nowhere to be found when Shu Miaoji needed him the most. He questions Yu Fan's right to interfere now. Yu Fan snaps back, telling Lin Bei to mind his own business. Then, remembering why he came in the first place, Yu Fan suddenly turns to the Shu patriarch and proposes marriage to his daughter. He presents a betrothal gift of 100,000 spirit stones and asks the Shu patriarch to approve the marriage. For once, the Shu patriarch is left completely speechless by the boy's audacity. Lin Bei seizes the opportunity to mock him. Yu Fan assumes Lin Bei has never seen such an amount of spirit stones in his life. Meanwhile, Lin Bei can only think how the world is always the same. Beggars endlessly trying to show off in front of billionaires. Yu Fan mocks our protagonist, saying that 100,000 spirit stones is the annual revenue of the Lin family, adding that Lin Bei must be overflowing with envy. Turning to the Shu patriarch, Yu Fan formally asks to marry his daughter, claiming that 100,000 spirit stones is already more than enough, especially since she has lost her innocence. He even mentions family reputation, saying he is only doing this to save the Shu family from public humiliation. The Shu patriarch is instantly furious. Yu Fan is talking as if his daughter is some kind of ruined commodity. Suppressing his anger, the patriarch deliberately lets the storage device Lin Bei gave him fall to the ground. He calmly remarks that he almost lost something extremely precious, something Lin Bei personally gifted him. Confused yet furious, Yu Fan demands an explanation, claiming that the storage device our boy gave him must be enough. At that moment, our protagonist casually takes out a spirit stone. He then adds, as if it's nothing, that if the storage device he gave his uncle wasn't enough, then here's another, this one containing several 100 million spirit stones. Yu Fan stares at the amount in disbelief, muttering that it's impossible. Lin Bei merely shrugs. Even if Shu Miaoji had lost her innocence, she would still be worth far more than any so-called market price. He doesn't say it out loud, but his aura alone makes it clear. He's the kind of man who shops without ever looking at price tags. Sweat begins to pour down Yu Fan's face as he hurriedly urges the Shu patriarch to consider his proposal, arguing that he arrived first. At that point, Shu Miaoji finally snaps. She shouts that enough is enough and tells Yu Fan to stop causing trouble. Stepping in front of Lin Bei, she declares that he came only to discuss the sword Dao with her. Yu Fan sneers, calling Lin Bei a piece of trash who hides behind a woman. He then asks mockingly whether Lin Bei even understands the meaning of the sword Dao. Our protagonist can only sigh helplessly. Whoever designed this so-called novel protagonist must have been seriously ill. With a gentle slash, Lin Bei releases his sword aura. Yu Fan is frozen in shock. Shu Miaoji mirrors his disbelief. She explains that Lin Bei doesn't just possess a sword heart, he has become one with heaven itself. In essence, his strength surpasses that of warriors several realms above him. She never imagined he was this powerful. Lin Bei can only thank the system internally. And honestly, the feeling of humiliating the overconfident main protagonist is incredibly satisfying. Trying to save face, Yu Fan scoffs, reminding Lin Bei that his cultivation realm is still higher. He sneers that someone like Lin Bei isn't even worthy of carrying his shoes. Shu Miaoji instantly explodes in anger. If that's the case, then she herself wouldn't even be qualified to be his wife. She orders Yu Fan to leave immediately and pretend the marriage proposal never happened. The mission to destroy the marriage proposal is progressing steadily. Cornered, Yu Fan finally reveals his trump card. He pulls out a ring and declares that whether Shu Miaoji marries him or not is no longer her decision alone. The ring reveals a burning flower. Shu Miaoji instantly recognizes it and is left in shock. It is the blood flame flower, a rare treasure capable of suppressing her cold body constitution. The Shu patriarch immediately declares that he is willing to offer any amount of spirit stones in exchange for the flower. Yu Fan seizes the opportunity and explains that he originally intended to present the flower as a gift on their wedding night, but it seems the Shu patriarch prefers Lin Bei's spirit stones instead. Understanding the implication, the Shu patriarch hesitates then is about to agree to the marriage proposal. Before he can speak, our protagonist steps forward and stops him. He accuses Yu Fan of trying to kill Shu Miaoji. Yu Fan bursts out laughing, asking if Lin Bei has lost his mind. He insists that only the blood flame flower can suppress Shu Miaoji's illness, and even if Lin Bei were richer than the gods, he could never find, much less purchase, the flower with spirit stones. This time, Shu Miaoji sides with Yu Fan. She tells Lin Bei that without the flower, her family would never have been able to keep her alive until now. Seeing this, Yu Fan laughs triumphantly, convinced he has already won. Lin Bei calmly acknowledges that Yu Fan is partially correct. Yes, the blood flame flower can suppress the condition, but the suppression is only temporary. It does not cure Shu Miaoji's cold body constitution, he explains further. Using the flower long-term is extremely dangerous. Over time, it will damage her foundation, making cultivation impossible. If she's lucky, she might still be able to hold a sword. Cultivation, however, would be nothing but a dream. Shu Miaoji stiffens. She never imagined a future where she couldn't cultivate. Understanding her fear, the Shu patriarch speaks with a trembling voice. He already lost his wife. He cannot afford to lose his daughter as well. Yu Fan quickly interjects, claiming that survival is what truly matters. He vows to protect Shu Miaoji, saying this is exactly why he proposed marriage in the first place. Moved by his words, Shu Miaoji reluctantly agrees to the marriage, completely unaware of the dark intentions lurking behind Yu Fan's smile. But Lin Bei is not fooled. He reminds them that Shu Miaoji's condition is congenital, not an ordinary cold body illness. The Shu patriarch nods in agreement and asks Lin Bei to explain further. Yu Fan immediately snaps, telling Lin Bei to stop sowing discord and confusing everyone. Ignoring him, Lin Bei continues. He explains that while the blood flame flower can suppress common cold body conditions, in Shu Miaoji's case, it will eventually turn into a lethal poison, a slow, agonizing poison, and there's more. Each treatment only requires a single petal, and its effects last for just 6 months. Which means Yu Fan never intended to save her, only to control her. Lin Bei turns to Yu Fan and calmly asks whether his analysis is correct. Yu Fan's expression twists in rage. He never expected Lin Bei to know this much. Feigning shock, Lin Bei asks in disbelief whether Yu Fan truly considers the life of his future wife to be so insignificant. Yu Fan explodes, shouting for Lin Bei to shut up. If Lin Bei really believes he can save Shu Miaoji, then he should prove it. Lin Bei doesn't hesitate. He calmly states that because Shu Miaoji's life matters to him, he came prepared. Seeing this, the Shu patriarch, and everyone present, reacts in shock. In Lin Bei's hand is an item capable of resolving the cold illness. Lin Bei explains that he went through great hardship to obtain it, though in truth, he simply spent a massive amount of system points. Unlike Yu Fan, Lin Bei is offering this not for marriage or control, but because he and Shu Miaoji are friends. This leaves Shu Miaoji completely stunned. She is deeply moved by how much he was willing to sacrifice just to help her. At that moment, she feels she finally understands how he was able to comprehend the sword Dao and awaken a sword heart. Meanwhile, her father thinks his daughter is hopelessly naive. After all, what sane person would go to such lengths just to remain friends? Despite clearly being in the wrong, Yu Fan accuses Lin Bei of spouting nonsense. Lin Bei calmly tells him to look at the flower in his hand. To everyone's shock, the blood flame flower begins to wither. Yu Fan freezes in disbelief. Seeing this, the Shu patriarch asks cautiously whether the item Lin Bei possesses is the ice jade marrow. Lin Bei casually nods. Yu Fan can only curse inwardly, realizing his chance has completely slipped away. However, the Shu patriarch raises a concern. Shu Miaoji's cold body constitution is congenital, and ice jade marrow possesses similar properties. He fears it might harm her instead. Hearing this, Lin Bei explains that while ice jade marrow would indeed act as poison to someone with an ordinary cold body constitution, for Shu Miaoji it is completely different. Because its properties align with her condition, it will allow her to fully control her cold illness. Not only that, she may even be able to use it to strengthen her body and create a unique physique. In other words, Shu Miaoji finally understands. This isn't just a cure. It's an opportunity to greatly enhance her cultivation and martial strength. Moved beyond words, the Shu patriarch offers to pay any amount of spirit stones for the ice jade marrow. Lin Bei shakes his head. Such an item cannot be bought with mere spirit stones. Its value cannot even be measured. There is only one conclusion. The Shu patriarch solemnly declares his consent for Lin Bei to marry his daughter. Our protagonist is completely stunned. Before he can respond, Shu Miaoji hurriedly reminds her father that she and Lin Bei are only friends. Still, though uncertain, she thinks that if anything were to happen, they should at least start by dating before making it official. Seeing this, Yu Fan objects. He tells the Shu patriarch not to say something so inappropriate. After all, they only know Lin Bei's side of the story and cannot possibly be certain that what he is saying is true. Crossing his arms, Lin Bei asks what the guy's problem is, stating that he was only offering it as a gift. Unless Lin Bei himself says otherwise, he would never use such methods to trap someone into marriage. To everyone's shock, he produces several pieces of ice jade marrow and offers them for free. Shu Miaoji appreciates the gesture, but thinks to herself that with this, she has no choice but to marry him. Seeing this, Yu Fan reminds the Shu patriarch that his daughter was originally meant for him. However, the old man has had enough and decides to respect his daughter's choice. Understanding that the situation is now pointless, Yu Fan gives up, but not before mocking Shu Miaoji, saying she chose spirit stones and treasures over feelings. Hearing this, our protagonist steps forward to defend her, questioning what right Yu Fan has to speak. Considering Yu Fan is only doing this for his own gain, he swears that he will never let Shu Miaoji become a victim of whatever he and the Yu family are planning. In response, Yu Fan calls the couple a pair of dogs and turns to leave. He swears to annihilate both families. As he leaves, the system informs our protagonist that the mission has been completed and that rewards are being distributed. However, he senses that this is not the end of their encounter. As if on cue, the system prompts him with a new mission, to stop Yu Fan from taking revenge on both families by stealing from him. Our boy is immediately excited, but he decides to first discuss something important with the Shu patriarch. Hearing this, Shu Miaozi tells our protagonist that she will leave first. The moment she walks out, the Shu patriarch grabs Lin Bei by the hand and addresses him as his son-in-law. Lin Bei realizes that the man has misunderstood. Thinking Lin Bei wanted to talk about marriage, the patriarch is surprised when Lin Bei instead suggests an alliance. Seeing the Shu patriarch's confusion, Lin Bei explains that by now, the patriarch should have already concluded that the Yu family ruined his daughter and harbors deep resentment. That is why he is proposing that they join forces and crush the Yu family. Regardless of the outcome, he wouldn't stop offering the ice jade marrow. Moved by his generosity, the Shu patriarch explains that among the families involved, the Yu family is the most influential. Even if they unite, they would still be at a disadvantage. Our boy clarifies that he is not talking about fighting with swords. He plans to crush them financially. Before leaving, he suggests that the Shu patriarch think carefully and consider his proposal. The man is left in shock by our protagonist's actions. Why fight with swords when you can crush them with money? In the next scene, Yu Fan comes out of his house while venting and complaining about the Shu patriarch and Shu Miaoji for not knowing what's good for them, still ranting. He grows curious about how our protagonist suddenly became a different person, so he asks his master if he senses anything suspicious. His master, a high-level spirit, replies that he didn't sense anything unusual with Lin Bei. However, they can't rule out the possibility that his body has been possessed by a powerful soul. In response, Yu Fan explains how Lin Bei has been constantly sowing discord between him and Shu Miaoji, disrupting his plan to bring the Shu family under his control. On top of that, Lin Bei possesses a large amount of spirit stones, making Yu Fan unable to hide his concern and wariness. In response to this, his master reminds him that strength is the only thing that matters in this world, and mentions an item in an upcoming auction that will guarantee his path to the profound god realm. After hearing this, Yu Fan thanks his master and thinks to himself that no matter how much money our protagonist has, he will definitely crush him and make him beg for his life. The scene then transitions to our protagonist's place. He finally gets the chance to go through the system, which reveals Yi Fan's opportunity event that will make him stronger. Seeing that he only needs one destiny point to view the information, our protagonist grows excited and accepts immediately. With this, the system shows a future scene inside an auction in the city. Yu Fan bids over 100,000 spirit stones for a wordless page. With no one competing against him, he secures the page without much stress. Our protagonist recognizes this as the Fengqi City auction house and assumes the page must be some ancient artifact. Nonetheless, he isn't worried. Since it's an auction, the winner is decided by who has the most money. With someone as rich as him, there is no way he will lose. Still, he is curious about the wordless page. The system doesn't give a clear answer because he needs more points to unlock the information. However, it reveals that Yu Fan, the novel's main protagonist, needs it to reach the profound god realm. This makes our boy react in utter shock after realizing the gravity of the situation. He becomes determined to obtain the item at all costs. He casually mentions entering the auction with several 100 million extra spirit stones, as if that amount is nothing. To achieve this, he spends points on the system gacha. Now, praying to the gacha gods for better luck, this time, our protagonist is indeed lucky. He draws 200 million spirit stones, a Xuanyuan sword, which the system notes is a replica, phoenix blood, and some spirit-gathering pills. Excited, our protagonist wonders if the Xuanyuan sword is the one he's thinking about, since he knows its value is immense. The system highlights its properties, emphasizing that it can double his attack power. Hearing this, our protagonist tests it using his sword aura. The simple attack from his sword aura is doubled and becomes a destructive force that destroys part of the residence. As a result, his dad yells his name in annoyance. Seeing this, our protagonist confirms that the sword is indeed powerful and moves on to the next item. The system explains that the bottle contains phoenix blood essence, which gives someone a chance to awaken a phoenix bloodline after use. Lin Bei notes this with great interest. Only the phoenix bloodline can control the Nirvana sacred fire. Our protagonist remembers that the Nirvana skill is related to rebirth after death, but he feels puzzled. In response, the system gives clarity. It explains that Nirvana allows rebirth, but it is not continuous. In other words, it is limited. However, by mastering the Nirvana sacred fire using the Phoenix bloodline, he will be able to control his rebirth. In summary, he can die and be resurrected repeatedly. In addition, his strength and power will increase every time he resurrects after death. However, he must have enough spiritual energy to trigger the rebirth function. Knowing this, Lin Bei doesn't waste time and drinks the entire bottle of Phoenix blood essence. He complains that the taste is too spicy rather than legendary. However, in the next moment, his body is engulfed in flames, and the system notes that he is in the process of awakening the bloodline. A few moments later, the system displays a notification showing that the awakening process was successful, but the bloodline concentration is at only 10%. Still, with just 10% of the bloodline activated, Lin Bei can feel his absorption of spiritual energy increase exponentially. Indeed, this is another secret benefit of the bloodline. As for the remaining rewards like the pills, Lin Bei thinks they are useless because the system gave him spirit-gathering pills for the novice realm, and since he is already at the practitioner realm, the pills are simply worthless. In response, the system pops up with a new interface. This time, our protagonist can get better items by using the synthesis option. Our protagonist can't help but shed tears of joy, knowing the system always comes through when he needs it the most. So when he uses the synthesis option, the system combines the normal spirit-gathering pills from the novice realm and produces 3 bottles of super-enhanced spirit-gathering pills for the practitioner realm. As usual, our protagonist doesn't waste time taking the pills. The moment the energy reaches his dantian, his body trembles and his aura flares as he begins to experience rapid breakthroughs. In his current realm, he can now successfully materialize his aura. In the end, our protagonist realizes he has jumped several realms and is now in the Master Realm. Just then, his thoughts are interrupted when he is informed that the Shu family has come to visit. Hearing this, our protagonist leaves to see them. Inside the Lin family courtyard, our protagonist appears and heads straight to business, asking if the Shu patriarch has considered his proposal. Shu Miaozi speaks up in response, agreeing to the proposal and adding that the Yu family indeed went too far. Our protagonist nods and agrees when he suggests they make a plan to strike first, likely because of his newfound strength and activated bloodline. But the system shuts that down with a pop-up reminder that he cannot use an aggressive approach. Lin Bei wonders why he needs to play it safe. In response, the system reveals that Yu Fan is still the main novel protagonist. Essentially, he is unstoppable, a broken character. Unless his destiny points are reduced to less than 1,000, he is practically untouchable. Worse still, Yu Fan has over 47,000 destiny points, while our protagonist has barely scratched the surface. With this information, our protagonist changes his approach and believes their best move is to target the Yu family's assets in Fengqi City. The Shu patriarch naturally wonders why they should take a passive approach, insisting they should strike first and control the core members of the Yu family. Our protagonist replies by reminding them that their strength isn't in martial force but in spirit stones. He doesn't like this approach either, but remembering the information and how Yu Fan easily broke his sword at the Shu family residence simply because he is the main protagonist irritates him. Our protagonist then explains his intentions. What he wants is to create an illusion where the Yu family believes they can get away with anything. Shu Miaoji understands his point. His plan is like boiling a frog in warm water. The Shu patriarch is shocked after hearing our protagonist's detailed plan. He didn't expect him to think through every step. He can only pray for the Yu family, because with Lin Bei they will die without even knowing what hit them. In addition, he feels grateful that his daughter's relationship has presented such a great opportunity. After all, who wouldn't want a strong and wealthy son-in-law? Meanwhile, Shu Miaoji raises a concern. She asks what would happen if the Yu family reacts and decides to move their assets out of Fengqi City. However, our protagonist already has that covered. He explains that he plans to control the pace by directly buying up all the supplies, making it impossible for the Yu family to afford relocating their assets. If everything goes according to plan, within 3 months they will completely cripple the Yu family's business in Fengqi City. This shocks everyone. Our protagonist then hands the responsibility of acquiring materials to his father, who agrees to handle the arrangements. Meanwhile, at the Fengqi City market, Yu Fan heads toward a certain shop following his master's instructions. On the way, his master explains that the anchorstone vine is a mutated plant, and with it, Yu Fan is guaranteed to break through to the next stage of the profound master realm. With this in mind, he urges his disciple to grab it immediately. Speaking of the disciple, Yu Fan is lost in thought. With his master's help, he believes he will definitely break through into the profound spirit realm. The strongest powerhouse among the 3 great families of Fengqi City is only at the peak of the master realm. So if he breaks through into the spirit realm, he can easily get his revenge on our protagonist, and at the same time deal with Shu Miaoji. He even swears to cripple her. Seeing him distracted, his master angrily snaps at him. Yu Fan immediately decides to get the item, but he wonders why Lin family disciples suddenly showed up in the market. Waving the thought aside, he focuses on his goal and asks for the price of the old vine. With a strained smile, the vendor explains that unfortunately, the vine has already been purchased and now belongs to the Lin family. Hearing this, Yu Fan is naturally stunned and surprised, since he didn't see any Lin family disciples enter the store. Regardless, his master tells him to get another item instead, the red spirit fruit. But when Yu Fan asks about it, both he and his master are shocked to hear that the fruit also belongs to the Lin family. As if on cue, a Lin family disciple approaches to pick up the fruit. Yu Fan immediately stops him, accusing the poor disciple of deliberately interfering with his business. Turning to the vendor with confidence, he declares that he will pay twice, even 10 times, what the Lin family offered. Hearing this, the vendor nervously raises 3 fingers. In response, Yu Fan proudly offers 3,000 spirit stones, thinking that was the final price. To his shock, the vendor corrects him with a nervous smile. It's actually 300,000 spirit stones. Hearing this, Yu Fan is petrified with shock. However, that wasn't even the worst part. The Lin family disciple reveals that their young master has purchased all the stores, practically meaning Lin Bei now owns the entire market. In addition, the stores are temporarily closing. Yu Fan shows a bewildered expression, as if his brain is glitching. He even asks his master if there was some new script he wasn't part of, because this was supposed to be the part where people respect him as the heir of the Yu family. Meanwhile, on the other side, Lin Bei, while sipping his drink, receives news that all medicinal herbs have been purchased and the stores are now under Lin family control. Lin Bei nods and returns to reviewing documents. Looking at one of them, he explains that not only the market, but even the auction house is now under his control. So if the Yu family disciples want to buy medicinal herbs to aid their cultivation, they will have to go through him. Thinking about the auction house, Lin Bei believes the time has come to proceed with the next step. The scene then shifts to the Fengqi City auction house. Yu Fan appears in a cloak. The poor guy is cursing Lin Bei, because thanks to him he wandered the entire city and couldn't buy a single herb to aid his cultivation. Fortunately for him, the auction house remains an option. Yu Fan asks his master about the item he previously mentioned. His master reminds him, it is the wordless page, a page so powerful that even a profound god couldn't damage it. Legend says whoever understands its contents is guaranteed a path to becoming a profound god. In addition, his master says no one truly knows the value of the item, so it's highly likely he can secure it at a low price. And just like that, everything was supposed to go smoothly until Lin Bei shows up with Shu Miaoji. Yu Fan is furious but quickly calms himself. However, Lin Bei has already noticed him thanks to the system's earlier insight. In his mind, he scoffs at such a ridiculous attempt to hide. Once seated in their reserved spot, Lin Bei suddenly turns to Shu Miaoji and offers to buy her a new and better sword as compensation for the one he broke. In response, she tries to refuse, insisting it wasn't his fault her sword broke. On the surface, she remains calm, but her thoughts tell a different story. Blushing, she wonders if Lin Bei invited her to the auction as an excuse for a date, and thinks that if he wanted one, he should have just said so. But she quickly dismisses the thought, reminding herself they are only friends. Poor girl is already falling for him without realizing it. Anyway, the auction begins, with the auctioneer introducing the first item, the green-edged sword. The starting bid is 1,000 spirit stones. Meanwhile, the crowd begins whispering about Yu Fan's shady appearance. Because of this, Yu Fan realizes his cloak makes him stand out, and people might think he has ulterior motives. Unsurprisingly, Lin Bei has the same thought and even considers reporting him. But remembering why he came in the first place, he dismisses the idea. Soon, the auctioneer moves on to the next item, an important medicinal ingredient used for refining profound gathering pills. Everyone knows how valuable such an item is. Having one can significantly increase cultivation growth. Because of this, Lin Bei knows Yu Fan will be interested in the profound starflower, especially after his blockade of the spiritual herb market. Paddles are raised, and the bidding war begins. Meanwhile, Yu Fan appears to be contemplating while asking his master for his opinion on the flower. In response, his master is impressed by his interest and reveals that it is a good alternative to mutated spirit medicine. As long as the price doesn't exceed its original value, it should be worth it. Hearing this, Yu Fan raises his bidding paddle and offers 650 spirit stones, determined to get the item. The moment the amount is mentioned, the bidders are shocked and decide to opt out. However, our protagonist checks the flower using the system and realizes that Yu Fan paying such a price means he knows its true value, just like he does. So when the auctioneer asks if there are any other bids, our protagonist announces his own bid of 660 spirit stones, literally adding just 10 spirit stones to Yu Fan's original offer. Because of this, Yu Fan shoots him a sharp look. Becoming irritated by the interference, Yu Fan raises his bid to 700 spirit stones. Our protagonist plays along, raising the bid by another 10 purely to irritate him even more. Predictably, Yu Fan grows furious, but his master reminds him to keep his priorities straight. Now is not the time to deal with Lin Bei. With that, Yu Fan slams his hand down and raises the bid to 800 spirit stones. Lin Bei scoffs and suddenly raises the bid tenfold, offering 8,000 spirit stones. The entire auction hall is shocked. What started as a few hundred now sits at 8,000, so naturally everyone begins wondering who this rich young master is. Even the auctioneer, who is equally shocked, asks to confirm the bid. Before Lin Bei can respond, Yu Fan snaps loudly, accusing him of deliberately messing with him. Our protagonist finds this amusing and deliberately acts clueless, asking if they even know each other. He then reminds Yu Fan that this is an auction where money does the talking. With no one offering more, the auctioneer announces that the item goes to the VIP section. Seeing this, Yu Fan turns to his master, who tells him to calm down, reminding him that they originally came for the wordless page. And as if on cue, the next item turns out to be exactly that. The auctioneer presents the wordless page, stating that its use is unknown, but noting its invulnerability. The starting price is 100 spirit stones. Yu Fan initially believes no one will compete with him. But that thought dies instantly when Lin Bei offers 10,000 spirit stones on the spot. Yu Fan is stunned and begins wondering why Lin Bei even needs the wordless page. Worse still, the Lin family's annual revenue is around 100,000 spirit stones, so naturally he questions how Lin Bei has so much money. Unless the spirit stones in Lin Bei's possession belong to him personally and not his family. This thought shocks him. Even so, Yu Fan refuses to back down. He raises his paddle and bids 11,000 spirit stones. Seeing this, the auctioneer immediately enters full sales mode, claiming the value of the wordless page must have been discovered and asking for further bids. Turning to Lin Bei in confusion, Shu Miaozi asks if there is anything special about the page. In response, our protagonist casually explains that since the auctioneer said the page is invulnerable, he plans to use it to make inner body armor. With that in mind, he raises his bid to 100,000 spirit stones. After all, he didn't sit in the VIP section for nothing. This deeply irritates Yu Fan. With veins throbbing, he accuses Lin Bei of deliberately messing with him for the second time. Lin Bei looks at him with a calm yet confident expression, before revealing a condescending smile and reminding him, "This is an auction. If he doesn't have the money, he should stay quiet." Before things could escalate, the auctioneer warns them that fighting is forbidden in the auction house. In addition, Yu Fan must compensate for the damaged property. Because of this, the onlookers begin whispering about Yu Fan throwing a tantrum simply because he got outbid. Still unwilling to back down, Yu Fan raises his bid once more, offering 560,000 spirit stones for the wordless page. Gritting his teeth, he is determined to obtain it and ascend to the level of a profound god. But our protagonist isn't going to let that happen. Raising his paddle, Lin Bei increases the bid to 1 million spirit stones. The auctioneer reacts in disbelief and asks if there are any further bids. But how could there be? 1 million spirit stones is the highest amount ever offered in the auction house. And just like that, our protagonist wins without breaking a sweat. Meanwhile, Yu Fan is furious, but his master reassures him. He believes Lin Bei doesn't know the true value of the page and is simply messing with him. In other words, the wordless page is useless in Lin Bei's hands. Still, Yu Fan remains angry, especially seeing Lin Bei's irritating smugness. Nonetheless, he pays for the damages and shoots Lin Bei a look as if to say, "This isn't over." But the next moment, he is stopped by a guard who tells him he cannot leave yet. Already annoyed from losing, Yu Fan becomes enraged. Lin Bei, not missing the chance to irritate the main protagonist, asks what he thinks he is doing. Yu Fan demands to know what he means and accuses him of causing trouble again. Feigning shock, Lin Bei asks if Yu Fan doesn't realize that the table and chair he broke were made from expensive materials. Yu Fan's master agrees, explaining that the materials used for the furniture are indeed valuable and cannot be compensated with just a few spirit stones. Hearing this, Yu Fan is shocked. Still, he fully compensates for the damages, knowing that if his identity is revealed, it would negatively affect his family's reputation. Before leaving, he swears that he will teach Lin Bei a lesson. By doing this, Lin Bei completes his mission and is rewarded with 3,000 points. Our protagonist rejoices inwardly. Knowing Yu Fan's personality, he is sure the guy will be planning something and he intends to use the Foresight interface. But just then, the system issues another mission. Make Shu Miaoji see Yu Fan's true nature and completely destroy their relationship. Because of this, Lin Bei wonders if either of them still have feelings left. Regardless, he plans to enjoy the process, but first, he needs to get stronger. However, Shu Miaoji suddenly interrupts his thoughts, saying there wasn't any profound sword at the auction and that a regular sword will do. In response, Lin Bei tells her that he wants to get her a profound artifact and isn't too concerned about the sword. Switching topics, she asks about the cloaked person and whether he is worried about him. Lin Bei replies without revealing Yu Fan's identity. He simply says the man was acting suspicious, and since he prevented him from getting what he wanted, it's only natural he might try to retaliate. Because of this, Lin Bei excuses himself to gather information about the cloaked figure, asking Shu Miaoji to wait for him. Inside another room, Lin Bei demands a report on Yu Fan. The informant reveals that Yu Fan is waiting along a small path that leads back to the Lin family residence. Lin Bei expected this. He instructs the guard to keep someone tailing Yu Fan and proceeds to pay for the items he won. Now our protagonist shifts into preparation. His first step in dealing with this encounter is using the system to gather information about Yu Fan's next move. The system consumes 1,000 points in the process. It reveals that Yu Fan has a powerful spirit master, and in addition, someone seems to be protecting him. Lin Bei sighs after seeing this. As expected from the main protagonist, the guy is fully built and stacked. Even with this knowledge, Lin Bei knows he can't confront Yu Fan in a direct fight. That's why he turns to the system gacha and makes a 10 times pull. The system soon presents his rewards: Super Spirit Gathering Pills, a technique called Soul Chaser, and the Nirvana Sacred Fire. Lin Bei is visibly surprised after winning the Nirvana Sacred Fire. Upon closer inspection, the system explains that the Nirvana Sacred Fire works perfectly with the Phoenix bloodline. It removes impurities and aids in rebirth. Apparently, this was the final item needed to activate the Rebirth of Nirvana technique. Without warning, the Nirvana Sacred Fire flies straight into Lin Bei's body. Our protagonist is momentarily shaken before quickly gaining control. He didn't expect it to be this easy. Now, with his current master-level strength and the Nirvana technique, which allows him to return to life stronger after each death, he is practically unstoppable. Next, he turns his focus to the soul-chasing seal. The system explains that it's a technique that allows the user to plant a soul mark on a target, essentially a soul GPS. Lin Bei realizes that with this, he'll never have to worry about Yu Fan's whereabouts again. Surprisingly, the skill is easy to use though. The thought makes him feel like an evil villain, considering he's doing all this just to survive. Still, the rewards aren't enough, so our protagonist makes another 10 pull. This time, he receives more spirit-gathering pills and another powerful skill manual. Commenting on his strange luck today, Lin Bei listens as the system explains the new technique, external avatar. With it, he can create clones. Each clone inherits a portion of his strength, and any cultivation techniques he learns can also be used by them. This immediately catches his interest. He decides to try it out. Moments later, he successfully summons a clone and is stunned. For the second part of his preparation, Lin Bei uses the system's synthesis function to upgrade the lesser pills. As he prepares to take them, wanting to keep Yu Fan waiting a bit longer, but something unexpected happens. His clone suddenly grabs the bottle and starts gulping down the pills. It has its own consciousness. It completely ignores Lin Bei's warning, but the result is even more shocking. When the clone consumes the pills, the effect is doubled. Lin Bei quickly realizes that the clone can absorb spiritual energy and potentially help him grow stronger. Although the clone possesses its own consciousness, it still shares the same thoughts as Lin Bei, just with a slightly more malicious personality.